So next we have a couple items for information. Dr. Swift, COVID update.
Thank you, President Johnson and trustees and all who are joining us remotely tonight. We do have another installment in our COVID update with some rather significant updates this week. So I know, trustees, that you receive these reports from us on a daily or weekly basis, and yet it is important for our community to hear. And so I am going to share my screen. So this is just another installment in our COVID update, just to make sure that our community is aware of the work that we're doing throughout this time of COVID building closure. Our buildings have been closed, and yet learning continues in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Trustees, it just came out today, and I couldn't resist giving a special shout out to some incredible young people across our district. Congratulations to Eleanor, Ree, and Arud, James, Helen, Ariel, and Denise on their achievement as National Merit Scholars. Again, hot off the press today, and I knew, trustees, that you would be so delighted to hear about these amazing young people and their extraordinary achievement. We begin every update working along Maslow's hierarchy. We were distressed to see this week, and I know I've been able to chat with a couple of trustees about this, but we were concerned to hear the Brookings Institute report that so many children in the country are experiencing hunger, particularly during this time of pandemic crisis. Trustees, here's the photo of what has occurred over just recent weeks in terms of food insecurity in our country. And you can see just a huge uptick there. And what moms have said is just under 1 in 5 of mothers with children ages 12 and under report that since the pandemic began, the children are not getting enough food. And I know, trustees, that we're all alarmed by this report, and I know that we're deeply committed that in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, we will make a difference in terms of the food insecurity that can occur during times of crisis. So I'll share more about that in just a moment. We're currently in week 8 of a 12-week COVID-19 closure, week 9 if you count spring break. Our teachers and staff and teams and leaders have done an extraordinary job in implementing our continuity of learning plan. This is a team whose whole work and learning environment has been turned upside down in the previous week. So we really appreciate our students and our families, our parents, and our teachers and staff for all the work we've done to ensure that learning continues. We continue to listen to our stakeholders, convening about 1 town hall per week so that we can hear how folks are doing and listen to their concerns and improve our work. We're a continuous improvement organization, and this is how we want to continue to operate. Our goal, trustees, you've heard me say it, is to improve the distance learning experience every week of this 12-week time frame. And I think you're going to see evidence tonight that we really are continuing to improve each and every week. These are the areas that we'll go through, and new developments in quite a few of the areas. Just over 225,000 meals have been distributed during these 9 weeks, including spring break. Trustees, it varies week by week, but we're serving somewhere between 1,700 and 2,000 students per week. That is breakfast and lunch for 7 days a week. What's been added recently is that our school stores and our PTOs and our school leaders are pulling together snacks that they had around, and they're creating treat bags that go along with the food distribution. And Ms. Margolis shares this is a particularly popular thing, is when the little treat bags come along with the regular food. Trustees, we're working, as you've heard from me, to be able to continue this through June, July, and August. We normally do a summer food distribution, but we want to do a more intensive one. We want to make sure we can continue our 17 locations. And so Ms. Margolis has applied. The state has applied to the USDA. Ms. Margolis is following this effort. If we receive approval from the USDA, we will be able to continue our current food distribution program with no changes, and that is our goal. We are continue to work with food gatherers. We're so grateful for that organization, and they are supporting, or we're working on support where they would also offer a delivery at community high school, because we're seeing a little food desert in that area where we could serve more families, more students and families. You will hear more about these efforts, but I just want, first of all, to give a shout out, as I always want to Liz Margolis, Victoria Davis, all of our team, Chartwells and Durham, and all of our volunteers. I also want to touch on the basic food and necessities. I missed that. Trustees, you know that we've also been supporting families with those basic household necessities. So toilet paper and laundry detergent and hygiene products. And we received a gracious grant from the Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation. This is being depleted. And so Ms. Bacalor and Nancy Shore, our partnership director, and Ms. Margolis are currently investigating more options for funding and donations, because we know that these basic household necessities will be needed throughout the months of June, July, and August. And we want to get a head start on that. I want to just touch on our technology effort. Our ITD team has just they've been most valuable players during this time of deploying devices. And some of the updates from them is that they continue to work to ensure that our tech services perform, even though they're being taxed at much greater capacity. We continue with device deployment and manning our help desks for our families. So families, if you're having technology challenges, just let us know. I understand that they've moved into a lot of repair activity because some of the devices that families have out are needing support or repairs. And we can actually see the devices in PowerSchool that are out there. And we'll share more in just a little bit about how many of our families are connected, what percentage are connected now. We continue with professional development. We have amazing teachers who are offering classes in Seesaw and other activities, and our ITD team has offered an amazing number of courses. I want to give a special shout out to our teachers and principals and tech team and all the folks. I think about 300 plus individuals have participated in the Schoology orientation sessions, so they've been busy over the previous week. We're continuing on our continuity of learning plan with our social workers, psychologists, and intervention specialists, reaching out to our most vulnerable students and families to make sure they have the support they need. We continue. This closure has been hard on everyone, but especially so for parents and for students with special needs and those who are in need of special supports. So we continue with a primary focus on getting support services in place. Trustees, our service providers have been trained in the platforms and how to create their groups and to deliver services in a distance learning environment. I'm very proud of this effort. And recently, we are working to make sure that we have our summer plans in place, because we know many parents and families with students with special needs really are looking for that additional support to carry them over the summer. So on this slide, trustees, you see some of the most recent activity is that the registration forms are coming live right along with our summer learning forms, and those will be for extended school year, for the summer academy, where parents may ask and enroll their child for additional support in math and literacy and in special services over the weeks of summer. And we're beginning to work through the process for those change in level meetings that need to occur. Our parent online support is live online. And I want to encourage parents to just reach out to Dr. Fedician directly or to any of us because we are here to make sure that students are being served and served well. Trustees, you know that we're monitoring participation week by week. I think I've only seen one other superintendent that I'm aware of across the country that's really reporting week by week participation. It's really important to us to do so because we gauge our success by whether we're able to connect and to have our students continuing their connections, engagement, and learning. So trustees, here's the report from the week of April 24th, and we'll continue to update these as we go. Our elementary students are participating. The schools ranged at 90% and above. They're not all schools have reported yet, so we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Our middle school students engaging at 90% and high school students at 88%. Those students who are not yet participating continue to receive outreach from their teachers, their counselors, their principals, and all those around them who are supporting them. This week, we're also sharing connectivity data. Trustees, you've heard regularly from me, and I'm so proud of our ITD team and our principals and teachers and everyone who's participated to get our families connected. And we've not finished confirming at elementary. It's a little bit trickier at that level to get the actual confirmation. But we are seeing at middle and high school that essentially all of our students do have the connectivity. Now, we understand, trustees, that may range from one device per student or perhaps siblings sharing a device. But we're proud to say that through the support of the district and approximately 3,000 additional devices being checked out, we are at very near 100% on the connectivity. We do gauge our participation in a number of categories. Trustees, you've seen those categories of which we try to see what is the root cause and how we can support students and their families. Of course, we know the governor's order stipulates that students will not be punished or be docked if they're unable to participate, but we take it very seriously that we want in every way to make sure that they can participate. Our Care Corners continues with our nurses. We really appreciate that work. Mr. Lauzana reports our facilities progress. Our schools have been completely disinfected according to the CDC guidelines. Our team is now beginning the process of summer cleaning. That's a very intensive cleaning process. We continue to have our buildings monitored by security. And as of May 7th, we were delighted that the governor relaxed the executive order just a bit. And so Mr. Lauzana is launching those maintenance and repair and construction activities, continuing with our project planning, particularly around the solar installations at A2 Steam here on Hazley and Forsyth. Trustees, you'll hear more about this soon, and we're looking forward to a meeting of the bond committee later this week where we'll talk more about that. We have been working to get our teachers more tooled up with better tools for a more robust instructional platform. We'll talk about that more just in a little bit with the Schoology item. I want to highlight summer learning. Trustees, it's coming up just after this item, but we're always delighted when we get to share about summer learning in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. We know that this process of filling academic skill and social emotional gaps and connections, this will continue, not just for these weeks of closure, but will continue over the summer and in the semesters following. So we will be providing summer enhancement programming, including supports for students with special needs for all students in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. That summer learning will be virtual, and all of the summer programming is free at no cost to parents. We believe so strongly in supporting our students and all of the learning connections that they need to make despite this current challenge. So we'll be opening the door wide on summer school. We want to remind folks, I don't think a day goes by that we don't receive a heads up on someone who needs assistance. And so if you are out there this evening and you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or with social emotional concerns, we have resources on our website at a2schools.org. And I just want to assure you that you're never more than a text or a phone call or an email away. We have folks and we're here, and our team members will connect with you and get you to resources in the community. So please let us know. I wanted to make you aware, trustees, on our budget that we are working on a FEMA public assistance grant. Ms. Margolis is leading up the effort on this along with other members of Mr. Dimitriou's team. We will be requesting money to reimburse us for additional costs that we've incurred since January. And the costs will go across many areas, including distribution of food and disinfection of facilities and movement of supplies and general health and safety and welfare information going out to our community. So Ms. Margolis will continue that work. My understanding is she will, over the next couple of weeks, be turning in that application. And trustees, we just hope for a good outcome because we're doing the right thing to support our students and families, and we appreciate the opportunity to apply and receive additional resources. We receive word and questions every day about our budget. And our budget, trustees, as you know, and you all are in conversation with me about this on a daily basis, We're concerned both about our budget for this current year as well as our budget for the coming 2020-21 school year. Trustees, you know that on Friday morning, we'll be having the May Michigan Revenue Consensus Conference, and we'll be monitoring that closely. I know Mr. Dimitru will send us an update once he receives that information and can process it. Trustees, I know you're aware, but we just want to say it to our community. This work in progress at the federal legislative level could not be more key and critical to the well-being, not only of our schools and our school systems, but also of our cities and our public hospitals. It is simply critical that we receive the federal support. So anything that any of us can do to get that message out. Trustees, you're set to pass a budget for 2020-2021 on June 24th board meeting. What we do know is that there will be a lot that we don't know on June 24th. And so we will be using the budget amendment process to refine our budget as we move through key benchmarks. And as we've discussed, that would include, we're understanding now, an August revenue consensus meeting, as well as getting our fall enrollment for the district, our fall Michigan budget, and other benchmarks as we go along. Trustees, and I am concerned about the rumors that are out there, as I know you are and members of our community are. I was pleased this afternoon in the governor's press conference that she received a question on K-12 funding, and I added her response to this, to the question. Excuse me, the question was around the rumors of dramatic cuts to education, 20 to 25% off of per pupil funding. This was her exact answer. She said, I'm not sure what information they are working with, not sure where they're getting that number. She'd been on a call with the governors today and with federal legislators. And she said, we remain committed to prioritize education. We have to do right by our children. And I encourage federal lawmakers to embrace the full CARES package. So trustees, we don't know anything yet, but I was very encouraged to hear our governor give that response. And I know, trustees, that we're all reaching out so that our leaders, both at the state and federal level, understand. We know that the most vulnerable among us have been impacted the greatest by this COVID crisis. And if we're not careful, we'll see the same kind of impact for children. And so I appreciate all that are fighting the good fight to make sure that we do right, as the governor says, do right by our children. So trustees, we're moving into a study session next Wednesday evening. It would have been the State of the Schools event. And in another sort of way, it is still a State of the Schools event, but it's really about this idea of how we may reimagine a fall 2020 in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. So I won't go into this now, but really just previewing our session next week as trustees, as we get into this work of what does it look like to reimagine our schools for the 2021 school year, with that priority of keeping our students, our staff, and our families safe. And so we know that in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, science will lead the way, and we are working with medical and public health experts. We're deploying our very best thinking, critical thinking around this challenge and opportunity. And our commitment is that we'll continue to grow our way through this time and to do better work. Trustees, we have this week had the great opportunity to be in town hall meeting with our members of the class of 2020 and with parents. And I just want to give a shout out and a big thank you to Raya, to Shay, to Rashaya, to Santana, and to Layla, who sat with me yesterday as panelists alongside the high school principals to really talk about how we will honor the class of 2020. You know, trustees, it's just 3 weeks away, our regular commencement season at the first week in June. And our commitment is deep, and that is that we will honor the class of 2020 in the long tradition of the Ann Arbor Public Schools. And we're so proud of the Ann Arbor Public Schools and the approximately 1,250 members of the graduating class, and we want to do this right. So we shared our survey data, and trustees, I'll make sure that you get the link to that data. And we also shared this plan around a graduation. We know that these are the governor's stages of the reopening process. And trustees, we are right here in phase 3 of the Safe Start plan. We would have to be in phase 6 in order to hold our traditional commencement ceremony. And so this is the foundation for our thinking. And trustees, here's what has been laid out for our plan to honor our class of 2020. We are, and they are at the printers now, I'll show you a peek at them here, placing yard signs in the yard or window or wherever the graduate would like for each of our graduates. These signs will have their first name on them. That was by their request. Their first name will be printed there. Our students will receive their cap and gown, the yearbooks. We are currently waiting on that delivery, but they will get their yearbooks, their honor cords, their awards, and their certificates. We heard from our students very clearly that they wanted to go back to school one more time. They wanted to feel like they had some sort of culminating activity at school. They feel like that day on March 13th when they left school, they had no idea that that would be their final day of their high school career. So they really have a strong desire to get back to the school. So we've designed, based on following the governor's orders, the executive order, each school is looking at a drive through and around the school kind of parade for the graduates. Folks would remain in their cars, and it would just be a way to really visit the school one last time. And if you can picture, many of our schools have homecoming parades, would be something like that, practicing all of the social distance requirements. That would occur on the afternoon, say about 5 p.m. on the graduation ceremony evening. And then we do have plans in progress to commemorate our class of 2020 in a commencement ceremony. That ceremony will be virtual, will be broadcast on CTN and live streamed. It will feature students, staff, and other speakers. The students asked yesterday if they could have a special moment. And of course, that's a part of our plan, is that every single graduate will have that personalized and individual moment of recognition. And then the official program booklet will be published as well. These are the dates, trustees. Community high school beginning on Friday, June 12th, and then that would continue through June 18th. Pioneer High School finishing up strong on the 18th. This virtual ceremony could be watched by families in, of course, any setting that they prefer. And our goal there would be that it would be accessible to everyone in that way. And we're putting out a special call that if any families need tech support or other support to be able to access the virtual commencement, let us know by calling that tech helpline. We want to support. So, trustees, we look forward every year. It's one of the most special times in our academic year is this commencement ceremony. We heard in our survey that our students wanted to connect with their friends and their teachers. They wanted to see their school one last time. They wanted to have that moment of recognition that they've worked their entire career for. They wanted to experience something like the clap out that they missed. And so we've done our very best to incorporate all of the feedback that we received. And I want to give thanks to the 920 participants and more than 20,000 ratings. And trustees, while this is the general plan of the commencement ceremony, I want to assure our community and everyone that each ceremony will have what makes that school special. Community high school and pathways will feature the student voice that makes those schools and their graduation ceremonies special. Huron will have their rat ears and the rat tail and all that is special about being a Huron rat. Pioneer will have the proud history of Ann Arbor High School, and they will follow in that tradition. In Skyline will have the majesty of the small learning community banners and the eagle. So all of these things will be incorporated, and we will be observing those ceremonies at 7 p.m. They will be pre-produced so that we are sure to get every moment just right. So trustees, I appreciate your patience with that little bit longer briefing, but I wanted to make sure that you had all of the information on our district update as we're working through this final month of the school year. 1 month yesterday from our first commencement ceremony and from the finalization of the year. I think I might have missed the last slide, which was we did hear, I want to be sure to say this, trustees, because there are families out there who want to hear this. We did hear overwhelmingly, and trustees, we discussed this about a week ago, we're hearing from the class of 2020 that they have looked forward to that tradition of ending their school year ahead of all the other grades. It's a really big deal to them, and it came up again at the town hall yesterday. So I just want to clarify that certainly we encourage our students to remain engaged with their teachers. We think that's important. But I want the class of 2020 to know that I have followed up and connected with Mr. DeAngelis and the high school principals today, and you will hear directly from your principal more information about the ending of the school year, and you'll hear that very soon. So we did hear you, and stay tuned. You'll have that information very shortly. So trustees, we appreciate the opportunity to share just an update on all the areas of our work. I just wanted to reassure our own staff in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. We have about 4,000 employees, and we're going to do everything we can to be responsible and to make sound decisions, and we'll communicate directly with our staff when those decisions get made. But that's not today. And folks have a lot to worry about right now, and I hate to see the rumors flying. So I just wanted to throw that out tonight.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Swift.